Do you guys think the LGBTQ community are bullies?
In some ways, yes, I do. You?
In what way?
In today's standard, I'm gonna just keep it. I'm gonna keep it a stack already. They've already surpassed everything minorities have done in the civil rights movement in like the last 10 years, just by bullying people.
It's like I wanna talk about this. The transgender one is really like the main focus one right now.
Right.
I think it's when Ricky Gervais had this stand up on Netflix, and he just mentions that what was his name, Caitlyn Jenner. He just put him in a stand up, saying a joke about him or her, but it wasn't even about her being transgender. It was about her murdering people by running them over. Right, that was the joke somewhere. I'm not gonna repeat it, but it was somewhere there. And people fucking lit him up for that. It was just like no one's making fun of her transgender nitty.
That's not a word at all.
It is now. I'm gonna add it to Wikipedia real quick. And people like lit him up. People was like, "Oh, you're so homophobic." All this bullshit. It's just like, no, we're making fun of a murderer now. Murderer just so happens to be transgender. You know, equal rights and all that. So that's where I see it's a bully. It's like you can't even talk about people that are transgender.
You can't talk about anyone who's...
You can't criticize anything they do.
Anything. Anyone who it seems like is gay, bi, trans, queer, lesbian, or whatever, you can't say a word. And if you say something against them, you're instantly posed as homophobic. You're instantly just ridiculed. Your opinion at that point doesn't matter. And then these... now the movement has pretty much been to where people instantly have to apologize for jokes. They can't say anything, even like in art, which is music, stand-up comedy and things like that. Like people have to apologize for lyrics in which they allude to something gay. Not even say faggot anymore. When's the last time you guys heard faggot?
Just right now.
Well, besides from me saying it like on TV or anything. When's the last time you really heard faggot?
Oh man.
You got to think about it, but you hear nigga every day.
Yeah, it's true. I do hear that every day.
Like, and I don't get, and like I said, I'm just gonna keep it a stack. I don't understand how they surpassed like the civil rights movement because they're getting everything.
It's just that they're popular. They're way more popular than the civil rights movement.
How?
Wait. What do you feel like they're getting?
Instantly, a couple years ago they were like, I shouldn't say that, but trans people were complaining about the whole gender equality bathrooms, and they were like, we just feel like that we should have bathrooms that we feel comfortable in, and we should be able to, if I'm identify as a male and I'm a girl, I should be able to go to the men's bathroom, blah blah blah. And now stores have instantly they just broke and started giving like gender neutral bathrooms.
But is that every store?
That's not even it. To me, it doesn't even matter that it's every store. To me, it just matters that they complained about something and they got it.
But it's not every store. Do you get what I'm saying? Like,
right.
I feel like if change was made to the extent that you're saying it is, every store would have gender neutral bathrooms, which isn't true. Okay,
so you're saying that just because change was made, that it doesn't mean that it actually... Like, so you're saying that just because a change was made, it doesn't hold weight? Or are you saying that...
I don't think it was as significant as you may think it was. And I don't think that the LGBTQ movement has surpassed civil rights in the least.
So...
What do you feel like is missing, let's just say, from the civil rights movement that the LGBTQ community has gotten?
You gotta say something?
Yeah, I think it's more of that they don't get like dogs sicked on them. They don't get like the water hoses. They don't get beat by the cops just for trying to like get their rights. I think it's I want to say the civil rights movement made way for the LGBT,
right?
That one, to like they just made it like civil rights made the path, and then the LGBTQ community just walked it. Yeah, they ran it, and I think that's why it seems way easier for them,
right?
Because the path was already there, like laws were already in place. That like basically they cite precedent of civil rights movement stuff, and then they get their way a lot easier.
And I guess for your question, I feel like they've been able to say exactly how they feel when they feel it without any pushback. But we, as minorities, will have a problem with someone saying a comment. Or let's just, I can go to Megyn Kelly, and Megyn Kelly, well, this was like a year ago or 2 years ago, saying that Santa Claus definitely wasn't black. And Jesus can't be black.
And
like,
blackface wasn't a big deal.
Right. And we give pushback like, whoa, hey, hold on here. It's like, this is actually fact that, Jesus was a minority. Just from like demographic, if you even believe in Jesus. Like from demographic standings, he was not white. And she was able to say it with no problems. She got away with it and got even more popularity after it. There was no sort of pushback on it. And there's things like that happen every day. And it's like we have to fight to get an inch. And I feel like the LGBTQ community, they just like raise a fist and like, hey. And everyone's like, all right, never mind.
Yeah. So that's why I think they're kind of bullies in that way. And
then there's things now where they use their power to even change how people do things. Like, if we could take it back to stand-up comedy, like, certain stand-up comedians can't even tell jokes anymore. They even go anywhere near that. They've completely just erased it from their bit at all. Dave Chappelle openly said after his last 2 Netflix stand-ups, he's like, I'm not doing stand-up anymore. He's like, I can't. What's the point? He's like, everyone complains about things, because he got so much backlash from his first stand-up when he had the trans jokes, which were good trans jokes. They weren't even bad. Like,
he was talking about like dancing with them and like
he
having a good time,
getting blown by a trans person afterwards, and it was like, no, we don't want to hear anything negative about us, but nothing was negative.
Yeah. So in that sense, that's why I say, to be clear, get all the rights you want. Like, like I'm all like, go ahead, do it, cool. But to be, like to just not even mention the word trans or something like that without getting some kind of negative feedback, that's where it's just like, all right, like maybe ease up a little bit.
If somebody says the word nigger with negative feedback, would you take it personally?
Well, would I take it personally?
Yeah.
Yes.
So if somebody says the word trans with negative things behind it, they shouldn't take it personally?
I'm not saying they shouldn't. It's fine that you take it personal. I'm saying that the aftermath of what happens is completely different from the aftermath of what happens when someone says the word nigger. It's completely different. It's not even close. If someone says the word trans, so someone makes fun of a transgender person negatively, that's it. People have been saying nigger on camera. They've been recorded. There's been people who have made racial jokes that weren't even funny, and that was just their viewpoint. Damn it, I forgot his name, but Riley Cooper, who was a wide receiver for the Eagles. This motherfucker went to a concert, a country music concert. It was like 2 or 3 years ago, and on camera openly talked to a black security guard that he was a nigger, he doesn't like niggers, and he would fuck him up if he touched him. He got a multi-year deal the next year. Let him say he doesn't like faggots. I guarantee you they would have cut him. Like, that's my issue with it. I feel
I hear you. I understand the issue. I hear the examples. Why is it frustrating that one community is able to get ahead without pushback?
Because I feel like, here's my issue with it as a whole. So the civil rights movement, like Mark said, pretty much we created the path, and then the LGBTQ ran the path, which is fine. I feel like then it's not rescinded at all. I feel like what happens is, and I'm not talking about the minority aspect of the LGBTQ community, because I know they have it. You guys have a dilemma both ways, but pretty much I feel like if you can get your right as a homosexual, and that's fine, that's all fine and dandy, but then you turn around and then you can still have a problem with minorities, I see something wrong with that. Because I feel like the underlining thing about this that makes me mad is I feel like gay people, lesbian, bi, trans, whatever, the people who feel this way, who aren't minorities, they'll get their right and then still turn around and then push minorities down, and they won't support us on anything. Like, they'll still go with the same narrative for us. And it's like, how can you walk our path but then don't rescind it and help us? I feel like if we both banded together, a lot more things would get done. But I feel like what happens is they ran the path and then they're like, all right, we're good. Y'all got to keep doing y'all thing. Which to me isn't fair.
So the issues with white people in the LGBTQ community.
Right. But
so that's a whole, like, that needs to be, then that needs to be clear, because there's black LGBTQ members, there's Latinos, there's Asian, whatever, who get so much shit, who are still killed out on the street for being trans, who are still fucking denied jobs, who are still going through all that stuff. So if the problem's with the whiteness within that community, then let's address that separately.
Right. So that's why I stated, though I understand the people who are minorities in the LGBT community have it worth on both sides.